yet another Friday. Friday, my favorite day of the week besides Saturday and Sunday, and Mondays are pretty good, but you get the idea. Hey, happy Friday, everybody. Happy Pi Day, everybody. Happy drama, everybody. This is drama. Dave Rush Ask Me Anything, and I am the aforementioned Dave Rush, senior instructor at Total Seminars, coming at you from the big village of Spring, Texas, a northern suburb of Houston, where I am pleased to say we've got had, I don't know, give or take 4 days of rain in a row after having not seen rain literally for about 60 days. We went 50 days where the high was not below 100 degrees Fahrenheit. And it's such a blessing. My yard has suddenly exploded. I used to live for a couple of years in Saudi Arabia in a desert. And I was on a compound that operated by a very large oil company, and they had money. And so we had grass and shrubs and trees here and there. We had a golf course. It was an 18-hole golf course. 9 of the holes were grassless. In fact, it was basically tar, oil over sand. It was oil, not tar. And then the other half, the not free half, even if you were, part of the compound, but you had to be part of the really upper echelon and become a member, that had grass. It was the only golf course in Saudi, and it was just an amazing thing. Well, Saudi gets 50 weeks of no rain a year, and then for 2 weeks they get a rainy season. And what a beautiful time it is during those 2 weeks and for a week or two afterward, and we're just, everything in the desert that's been hiding there for 50 weeks a year pops up. The jasmine explodes, and it's an amazing thing to experience. Everybody's got a place in their country or their continent that's something like that. It's the same all year long, and then for this one brief period, something amazing happens. And so that's kind of where we're at. No rain for 60 days, 90 days, whatever it is for us, and then suddenly some rain, and it just changes the whole outlook of the planet. Well, let's see what's going on here. Excuse me. Still humming, and I probably will be for another 2 to 3 months. That's the nature, not of this illness, but because of some crap that I experienced back, oh goodness, 30 years ago. I got some kind of lung thing that damaged my lungs, and so I get sick just like everybody else. I recovered just like everybody else, and sickness and all that lasts. But if it's a respiratory issue, it takes me months, 3, 4, 5 months for the respiratory symptoms to go away. So sorry about that. Yeah, I know you should. I am so drugged up when I go teach. If I'm in one of these phases, it's a terrible thing. Okay, well, let's see. Let's look at this. Yeah, nobody's here yet. We're still winding up. 4 concurrent viewers. We got to get some viewership today because I got a show. Talk a little bit about that. I picked this show. I picked the topic very quickly after the show last week. I picked it Saturday or Sunday or no later than Monday. I said, oh, I want to do that. And I stayed up late Sunday night or Monday night writing the outline, and actually wrote, it's a 2-topic show, and I wrote 90% of the first topic. And then the other topic, I just spent a lot of time during the week researching it and experimenting with it and filling out the outline a little bit, and got up early this morning and wrote it for real, did some experiments, changed some files around and things like that. And it's a good show. It's going to be a lot of fun. So I hope we get some people turning up in the next hour or so. Do have some people turning up now. Let's see, Tullywood, of course, first one in. Always, I think that's your wake up time, right? 1:30 my time must be about the time you get up. I'm thinking you get up, race out of bed, fire up the computer, immediately head to this page and issue that good morning, and then you go back and brush your teeth and comb your hair. Muhammad El Abayad, Mr. White. Assalamu alaikum, my friend, as ever and always. I'm here. It must be me is here. Hey, Dave, looking good, my friend. You're very kind. I combed my hair today, a little bit. I was thinking about this. Do I want to do this? This is kind of like part of my stand-up shtick, but I was reminded of it today when I was doing a little bit of grooming. Um, my heritage, I'm not going to go down the whole road on this thing. It's definitely nightclubish and just a little on the edge for what we do here. But let's just say that my heritage is a swarthy, a hairy people. How's that? And so, I'm like everybody else. I trim my beard and I trim my hair at the same interval as anybody else. But those other places that grow hair, they grow faster on me and thicker and heavier than the rest of humanity. And so I was doing my camera set up an hour ago or so, and I looked at that and said, oh my gosh, I got to go and do the big trim job and get all the orifices cleaned out. So that's why I look so good, because I'm not, I don't look like a mad scientist who's 70 years old in a 1960s B movie with hair sprouting everywhere. I don't want that image in front of me. There, get that away. What is this? Okay, that's a good thing to have up. And that's that. TD Washington, good afternoon, young lady. Nice to see you. Thank you. Andre de Guert, hello, fellow nerds. What are you, Catherine? Patricia? She says fellow nerds, man. You eventually take over for everything. You always say what I'm going to say just before I say it. So kudos to you for being on the same track. And then you do Tullowit jokes. And now you're taking Patricia Grace's lines. I'm worried. Daniel Klein is here. Afternoon, everyone. Not just me. Cool. It's very kind of you. Tullowit, you're pretty much right about my morning routine and in making coffee and watering the yard. So I gave up coffee some years ago, and something changed my world. You know what it was? This diety stuff. I looked at some stuff and they said keto coffee. Well, I got to try keto. I would think that coffee in and of itself is a fairly keto, paleo friendly thing. And I looked at what they do to ketify it, and it looked good. So I made myself a cup of keto coffee one day, and it was horrible. Hey, by the way, I'm working solo today. Tullowit or Andre, if Russian hackers come up, I've got my phone noisemaker on. Ping me on Discord. I'll hear it, and then I can go and attack them. Thank you. Train of thought. I lost it. Oh, coffee. So I made myself a cup of keto coffee, and it was horrible. It was just horrible. So but you see these reports all the time, and they always get debunked, and then they get undebunked, right? Like the worst thing in the world, the best thing in the world for you in the 60s and 70s was breakfast every day. Make sure you eat breakfast. It's the most important meal of the day. And we had the food pyramid back then, 2 eggs a day, at least one. And then late 70s, mid 70s, eggs, they have cholesterol, they'll kill you. Don't ever eat an egg again. Well, that got the Egg Council, the Worldwide Egg Council, in a panic. Oh, no, we got to convince people that eggs are good. And then suddenly eggs are good again. That happens all the time with everything. Well, so it is with, red wine and coffee. Coffee was nothing. It didn't hurt you. It didn't help you. Back when it was just, people grew up on it from the, ever since it was introduced 3,000 years ago or so. And it's gone up and it's gone down, but I like the latest research that says regular coffee drinkers yield a higher benefit than disadvantage. So I decided a few months ago that I would restore coffee to my diet. I would make it regular enough. I have a cup a week. How's that? Maybe 2 on rare occasion. And I bought a Keurig machine, and what a godsend. What a wonderful thing Keto coffee really is horrible. It must be me. But making coffee, just regular old coffee with Keurig machines. And, I'm not a purist. When I was young and, got up at 3 o'clock in the morning and started working until 10 o'clock at night and needed coffee to get through the day, give me a black cup of coffee, or better yet, just a spoonful of ground up coffee beans, and I'm ready to go. But I'm older now. I'm more mellow. I'm very happy with the flavorful coffees. And so I bought some kind of assortment pack at a big lot store, or whatever those are. And I just enjoyed my 2 cups of coffee a week. And I do not make them keto style. Keto style coffee, I know you're curious. Some of you are going to look it up. I'll just save you the trouble. You put a pat of butter in it, because everything in keto's got to have fat and protein, or just fat. And so I put that butter in there, and, it kind of melted, but it takes me a long time, right? You've seen me do 2 hours with you, and I usually drink about a half a glass of tea here. And so it is with coffee. I can take a cup of coffee, and Keurig only gives me about a half a cup, 2/3 of a cup. So it cools down, and then the butter congeals into spots. And, as if buttered coffee weren't bad enough, butter pats, little globs of solidified butter in your coffee. It's just not good at all. So no, I'm just selling for coffee, and if that's a cheat, so be it. All of that was to pose a question to Tullowit, who I see has already answered. So that's great. So I'll get there. Must be me. Got them Yeti jeans. Yeah. It's Southern Italy is the bulk of it. I don't have the green skin, but other than that, I am you can call me Esau. Esau was the hairy one, right? I'm waiting for my wife. She's much better with the Bible than I am. Esau was hairy, right, Aim? She's under headphones, won't hear me. All right, somebody clear me up. Patricia Grace, you're here. Patricia Grace, Esau was hairy, yeah? Not his brother? Okay, thank you. Esau was the hairy one. Outstanding. Right, Tullowit knows that too. Anyways. And the rest of my heritage, it's European all over the place, and some here and there, but there's not a lot of Eastern Asian in me, so hair grows everywhere. I think I have hair on my toenails. So my question was to Tullowit, how do you make your coffee? And the answer is he bought an Nespresso machine a couple of years ago and loves it. I can never get into the fancy coffees. I can't do espressos and lattes and all that stuff. If I go to Starbucks with friends, I never go to Starbucks, but come on, let's go to Starbucks. Fine. I get a cup of tea. Bulletproof coffee. Blue Lantern is here and typing up a storm at 2:11. Hi, Dave, he says, can you let Mike know that some people listen to the show and can't watch the chat? So please say the answers to the contest questions. Last time he didn't said who won, not the answer. He just said who won and not the answer. Okay. Trying to remember what the question was. Somebody will remind me. Oh, wait a minute. I have it right here. I have it right here. Click, click, and there it was. The question last week was, it was from A+. He said it's from A+. Okay, I see how could the says Patricia is running Wireshark and is seeing a tremendous surge in traffic on port number 67 and 68. What explains this? Which protocol? And I don't think he gave a list. The answer was, let's boil a question down to what it is. Which protocol uses port 67 and port 68? The answer is DHCP. Jonathan Stollard won that one. There's a number of people who got it right. Jonathan was the first one that appeared in Mike's list. And so there you go. But yes, I will, I'll remind him. It's not usual for him. Usually he addresses it and talks about it as a topic. So I'm going to call that a one-off, but I'll keep that in mind as I'm working back channel for him. Jacob was smooth. Yeah, but I like how easy it was to fool the old man. Just put some goat skin sleeving on and you're all set. or other way around. All right. Tellaway, no, Daniel Klein, 214. I have a Ninja coffee maker. I want to stop right there. I just have this image in my mind of a Ninja coffee maker. I can hear the shing as the katana comes out, and each coffee bean gets slashed and crushed. Sorry, that's where I live. Mike is right. The things that are in here should not come out, especially through here, huh? Anyways, yeah, the Ninja coffee maker that makes single cups using ground coffee as opposed to pods. It's my absolute prized possession. Cool. I like the idea. Blue Lantern, happy to help. Love your live streams. I love that you attend these live streams. Thank you, Blue Lantern. I love your live streams, and then change to love. You love my love streams? See, should not have let that one out. TD Washington, I have a Vega protein and energy cold brew mix with MCT oil. Okay, I'm familiar. It's not too bad. Mix it up like a smoothie. I like this road. It's funny. We'll have these kind of discussions when people are in the office. That's so rare. And somebody started bringing in Soylent powder the other day, 2 years ago. And I just saw a commercial for the first time on Soylent that they're adding flavor to it or changing colors or something like that. Checking in and out while it works, says Patricia Grace. Okay. Oops, incorrect edit. Okay. That's all right. I like the love stream thing. All right, we are starting to get people, so that's a good news. Let us take care of housekeeping then. We shall see what's in ye old notes. Those aren't the notes to see. These are. Oh, I see. There, now we got something pretty to work with. So it is Friday. It's Friday, the August 26th. This is show number 107 in our drama series. If for some odd reason you should be keeping track. I can't imagine why anybody would but me. And this is a production of Total Seminars. I am Dave Rush, Total Seminars. I am Dave Rush, the senior instructor at Total Seminars, which means I really don't have much to do these days. So I get to do this, and then I get to do things around the office in 4 other departments: research, write, moderate forums, stuff like that. I do get to, I'm starting another round of shooting. If any of you have played with the Total Sims, we have 4 types of simulations, and one of them is a simulation type called Show. And Show is a screen capture of a process that's narrated. Lisa has to go to a website. Here's how she does it. She opens a browser, and then you see the browser open, and then she types in the browser bar. Hopefully it's a little more sophisticated than that, but you get the idea. Well, I do those, and we have been doing a batch of them for the Network Plus ones. Those are all finished. I finished them, I don't know, 6 weeks ago, something like that. And I am starting Monday, I'm going to start shooting new ones for the new 220 1100 series A+. So I spent yesterday building out the studio. I'll spend the rest of this weekend building out the studio. And then I have to, I installed Windows 11 a couple of times in a couple of different systems, but never as a dedicated thing. And I don't know that I'm going to this time, but we're going to do some on Win 11. We've got to, and we're looking at 3 or 4 different possibilities. I'll get that done on Monday. And then once we know we've got a working solution that I can do effective screen recording off of, then I'll start shooting the new scripts, new shows. At any rate, so that's what I do as the senior instructor at Total Seminars. And of course, my favorite thing to do as in that capacity is to get together with you every Friday at 2 o'clock Central Time for 2 hours while we talk CompTIA and technology of any kind. I'm flexible, space stuff, whatever's on your mind. And then for hour 2, we move over into the world of Raspberry Pi. and try to find projects that are good for using a Raspberry Pi to foster our learning as we study for various CompTIA certifications, A+, Net+, Security+, ITF+, and the other ones when and if they are appropriate. We have a project in mind for that just this very day. It says, blah, blah, blah. What is that? Yeah, so we get together every Friday, 2 o'clock, 2 hours, and we do AMAs. In general, we do AMAs 3 times a week. Mike does a show on Monday. Mike does a show on Wednesday. They both start at 2 o'clock, and they're right here in the same place that you're watching right now. And then I do the Friday show. Coming up, let's tease it. Mike is going to do a regular show on Monday, and then he has a special guest on Wednesday. He's bringing in Steve Nicholson. Steve is his co-instructor, presenter on the new video A+ courses. So he's a subject matter expert. He's a really nice guy. He's fun to talk to. He can speak, and he can be funny, and he can be strong. And it should be a good show. Be here, be ready to with your A+ new objectives, 1101, 1102 questions, and he and Mike will field them together as well as whatever else they're going to talk about. That's Wednesday next week. 5 days from now, right? Yeah. And that's what we do here. We take questions. I do a presentation. I take questions during that. I shoot the breeze and talk about a little bit of everything for the first hour. So the easiest and bestest way for you to ask me a question is to post it in the YouTube chat. If you're watching, if you're driving around your car or you just have to listen, then there are other ways that you can communicate with me. You don't do it real time with the YouTube chat. The easiest and bestest way to do that is to contact me via email. And I have an email address that I would love to share with you. Hey, there it is. So you can contact me at your convenience at my work email address, daveR@totalsem.com, or my personal address, drushtx@yahoo. There's the office number if you need to pause this and call the office. But I go to the office about once every 3 weeks, maybe once every 4 weeks. So it is of little value to you. And I will post this in a moment, along with some other things, in the YouTube chat. Let's take care of the other business while we're here. I keep a web server up and running Friday through Sunday night, and anytime thereafter on request. Send me an email, contact me on the Discord channel. I'll give you post up the Discord info. It's HTTP, not S, pirsquare.zapto.org, pirsquare.zapto.org. And what you'll find there is all kinds of goodies, but one of them is a downloads page. And on that downloads page is all of the documents that I use to create my weekly show. They're different every week. My outline is different. My graphics are different. Some of them are same, of course. But if you want to, for instance, follow along with today's thing while you're watching again on the archive, or, if you got in there early today, I had the server up and running around 9 o'clock this morning with information in it, then you could follow right along in real time with today's project. It's really easy to do. AMA Weekly. We got specials just because you're kind enough to join us here. We have a special every week. The code changes every week, but it's 50% off a bundle that you create on these topics: A+, Net+, Sec+, Cybersecurity Analyst Plus. You can read the rest. What you do is you go to totalsem.com, go to our merchant area, and you pick a topic here that you're interested in studying, and then you get the ebook, not the paper book, but the ebook for that topic, put it in the basket, and do the same thing for the Total Tester practice test. Same topic, put it in your basket. And then when you check out this week, the code is Rebel, because this week in history, King George declared the colonies were in rebellion. And so Americans became rebels that week. So Rebel is the clue this week. It's good through this Sunday night. Don't wait till Sunday. Is it going to happen at midnight as a turnoff? I don't know. I know that it happens sometime on Sunday, but if you do it today, if you do it tomorrow, you don't have to worry about it. Be a different code next week. One of these days we'll get a new different program, but if you don't win a free Total Tester bundle today, this is a great way to get it. Basically, you get it at either regular price and the ebook for free, or look at it the other way around. you get the ebook, and then you get a free total tester that goes with it. So that's the way to go, right? And one final thing, and I'll throw the links up for all these things. You want to talk more about the show, other topics with other people in the same boat you are, or who maybe know a little more, or who maybe know a little bit less, we got a place for you to do that. It's called the Unofficial Total Seminars Discord channel. It's unofficial because it has nothing to do with Total Seminars, as in we don't own it, we don't operate it. A couple of us are users of it, just like everybody else, but it was started by one of the folks who's a regular here, and it's moderated by some of the folks who are regulars here. And we encourage you to come over and join it. There are tons and tons and tons and tons of interest sub forums on there. Not surprisingly, there's a Raspberry Pi forum and a Linux forum, and help me with computers, and let's study A+ together, and security, and playing WoW, and we got over 430, 440 participants now. It got taken down, not because of anything that happened, we did wrong or anything like that, just conditions a year ago or so. And we had 500 people, and in that short time since it's recovered, certainly everybody's back, and lots of new faces. So come on over. And that's good for that. Let me go post all this stuff. Shrink you and go over here. There we go. Okay, let's get some links so we can put up. I'm going to put these up in the order that I had them listed in this document, which is not the order that I just mentioned. So the PyR Square server is now listed. The Discord invitation link is now listed. The specials with the code of Rebel is now listed. Here, I'll even post this just for fun. How I picked this week's code. And if you notice the date on that, it's always, I always do these codes every week, and I based it on something that happened in history on the date of Monday at the beginning of the week. So it's always Mike's first show. Email addresses. There's a couple email addresses for me. I put out 2 or 3 different posts on LinkedIn this week. I don't usually do that. I typically try to do one every week, or maybe even every 2 weeks, but there was a lot of stuff going on. I had a repost to do, notification about Mike's special guest on Wednesday. So if you will, I just posted the link to my profile on LinkedIn. Feel free to link with me or just follow me, and you will get my weekly posts. Sometimes they are just, hey, what are we doing this Friday on drama? Sometimes they are, here's hints and kinks and fun things that you might find handy in Windows or in Linux or with Raspberry Pis or whatever. So appreciate your joining up with me. I'd love to link with you or lead you or follow you. You follow me, I follow you. You get the rule. All right, that's all that stuff that I need to post for now. Anything else I want to get off this thing before I go back to Q&A? We did that. We did that. Some of this, some of that. I guess I'll mention this. So we got a project today. We have 2 projects today. One of them is just going to go visit a website that I want you to check out and show you how it works. So obviously you can do that on any computer you have that has a browser. And then for today's project, I'll be doing it on Raspberry Pi because that's what we do here. Any Linux distro, every Linux distro, there's probably some wacky exception, but by and large, the project that we're going to do today can be done with any Linux distro. So if you've got a standalone machine, if you've got one in a virtual machine, or one in a container, one on a Raspberry Pi, whatever. So yeah, let me do this then. So where we've been last week, we took a look at the rsync program. Rsync is used to efficiently duplicate the contents of directories, either from a local to a remote or vice versa. Really powerful, really cool utility. because it checks the contents of those directories and then only moves or adds or deletes the files that are necessary to keep them in sync. It doesn't copy and overwrite old files or recreate or any of that nonsense. Just keeps them in sync. So that's kind of cool. Today, 2 projects. As I said, we're going to review a website that's a primary tool for learning. It's an old website. Been around for a long time. I was talking with our old friend with the very scarred heart and made an analogy. I said, you know, this is a thing that's been around for a long time. I wasn't aware of it until recently. And that's it's kind of one of those situations where maybe you're a new preacher and you walk up to the pulpit for the first time. I know some of you aren't Christians. It's okay. It's just an analogy. Relax. And you take hold of the pulpit and you said, you know, congregation, I heard recently about this guy named Jesus. What an amazing guy. We should all take a little time and learn about him. That's kind of where I'm at with this thing. So I don't have a, I don't want to say that. I don't have a tutorial today. But the other project is we're going to do a close look at a seemingly very simple command, the cat command for the command line in Linux. First and foremost, it is a required objective in 220.11.01. I put 2 in my notes, but it's 1, but it doesn't matter. It's a required objective. Objective 111, identify common features and tools of the Linux client OS. And then they have a list of commands in there, and cat is one of them. So we're going to take a close look at cat. That's our second project. It's going to be more interesting than it sounds, I promise you. And I should mention this to you. I have a lot of files that I use to demonstrate. I got those files from a course that I'm taking. They're publicly available by the instructor, and I'm not going to show you how to get them. If you want to do exactly the same exercise that I'm doing today, download my notes for today and go to the project section. And I wrote the instructions, exactly what you need to do in order to go get those files and set them up on your Linux machine. And you can completely duplicate everything that I'm going to do today. And there's a lot more stuff. Yeah. Okay, if it all goes through. All right, let's go check and see messages. Then we'll do news, tricks, and techniques of the week. How are we doing on time here? Right where we should be. I wonder if that's called Vega instead of Vega. I like the Vega thing. Okay, there we go. I super scrolled. Patricia Gray checking in and out. Yeah, we did that. And incorrect. Tolowit, Patricia Gray, hate it when work gets in the way of my fun. Huh? It must be me. I passed my 1002 and started a program with the state. Congratulations. I knew earlier that you passed 1002, but now you've got a new program going on. And that's really wonderful. It's cool to hear people talk about things and use the tools we learned about. Right, isn't that great? So not only does A+ certification give you knowledge about how things work, it gives you jargon, it gives you foundation to communicate with your peers, and that makes you able to learn more. It also helps you teach more, right? Support isn't just about going in and opening up a computer and saying, oh, there's your problem. The left-handed franostat is all schmokered. Hang on. Okay. Because the next thing you got to do is answer the question from the user who had the bad franostat. And then what you're going to do, if it's possible, to explain to them how this might be avoidable in the future, or if it's not, how we can make things, as far as recovery goes, happen a lot quicker. So that's one of the many things that you get out of A+ and other plus certifications. So nicely done. It must be me. Well said. These are not the notes you're looking for. Blue Lantern, what do you think? The most prestigious Linux certification that people look for. It's a toss-up between LPIC and Linux Plus. Linux Plus has been second place for a little while. The objectives have finally been posted For the new generation, they are wonderful. I fully expect them to be kind of a neck and neck thing. LPIC is a two. Oh, no. What's the most prestigious? I didn't answer your question. Red Hat. Okay, the whole series of Red Hat enterprise Linuxes. There's a ton of certifications built within. There's a core certification, and then there's all kinds of specialty certifications. By far and away the most prestigious. However, it only carries that prestige in Red Hat circles. Fedora users and companies who use Fedora and old CentOS, that's obsolete now, and Rocky and Alma, those are all Red Hat distros, and the certification information education that you get out of Red Hat apply to all that stuff. But as far as generic goes, both LPIC, I don't remember what it stands for. Starts with Linux. How's that? Industry certification, Linux Practical, something like that. Anyways, and Linux Plus, those are both broad-based, and they provide background in both Debian and Red Hat, basically the two big dogs out there. And the nice thing about that is a Debian education makes you functional in so many different distros, because so many of the popular distros, sorry, something going on up front, are Debian based. Mint, which everybody says I love, I don't, but I don't hate it. It's out there. And Debian itself, and Ubuntu, and Raspberry Pi OS, and many more. But those are, Kali is Debian based. Sling Buzz is back. Been so busy doing remote automations at work, haven't had time to study. Man, make the time. Give up 2 hours of sleep. Skip a meal. Patricia Grace talking to Tullowit. Just reading questions here. Today is National Hot Dog Day, Cherry Popsicle Day, and Toilet Paper Day. That sounds like something that could all go on one plate together for a very interesting piece of art. Blue Lantern says at 2:23 one night, I saw the streak of startling satellite across the sky. It was like 30 satellites. Yeah, right. So when they launch and they deploy initially, you can see them if the light is right in a string before they all start to darken and separate. So that's kind of a cool thing. Zachary Teal is here, present, and good afternoon, Zachary. I do hope you got that email that I sent to you. I will check with Adam and see if it's okay that I pass that on to you. And if so, I'll give you the word and say, go ahead and contact him with this. But what a good alternative to Raspberry Pi. They are so difficult to find right now. Well, that's the problem. If there was a good alternative, and technically speaking, there's some okay ones out there. I've got Orange Pis. I got Beagles. I don't have Beagles. I have Nano, whatever. But they're all in the same boat. They are all impossible to find right now. So no, there's not a good one. I'm embarrassed to tell you, I told you just a couple of weeks ago that I pulled out a cluster of Raspberry Pi 2s. There's a cluster of 5 of them that I was never going to do anything with them. Put them on eBay. I could buy a car with what they sold for. They are in such short supply. I bought on the used market a Raspberry Pi 4 a week or two ago, and coughed up $155 for it. They're $85, usually free shipping from most of the place. So yeah, I know they're hard to find, and no end in sight for that. I have orders for 7 or 8 Raspberry Pi 4 8 gigs with a distributor. June of 23 is the current projected shipping date. So, if you can find an alternative, Rock Pi, you see those running around, Raspberry, Orange Pi, Banana Pis are out there. But here's the problem with all of them. Whether or not they're good technical alternatives, none of them None of them have the support community that Raspberry does. I mean, besides the incredible number of skilled folks at Raspberry Pi continually working on the operating system and projects and improvements on the electronics, there's also hundreds of thousands, perhaps millions of people who have either already are experts or who are becoming experts doing stuff and posting to bazillions of websites and the Raspberry Pi forums themselves. They're making files, patches, and fixes. So there's no, in my mind, alternative as far as best goes to Raspberry Pi. There's other stuff, and maybe you can make other stuff work. But here's a question I see all the time on the Pi-hole forum. Can I run Pi-hole on fill in the blank here? And oftentimes that blank is some kind of single board computer that's kind of like a Raspberry Pi. And the answer is usually the hardware can support it, but the operating systems that exist for that, no. And so there's so many applications out there like that. You just can't run them on the OSs that are available for the cheap clones. Arduino is a controller, a microcontroller, not a Raspberry Pi, nothing. No, I'll do that when I do it with news, tricks, and traps. So I know, long answer and not a good one, but there it is. Anyone have experience with Arduino? Is it a good alternative to Raspberry Pi? No, it is not an alternative to Raspberry Pi. Here is Raspberry Pi's competitor to the Arduino. It's the RP2040. This is way more powerful than an Arduino because it's got 40 GPIO pins. Arduino's got a couple things that it doesn't. Arduino is more popular. It's been around longer. It's got a longer lasting support base. But this, like everything Raspberry Pi, is growing and banging. And I just got in a new one today. I'm going to show you in a couple of minutes. Let me show you two other Raspberry Pis. So here's what that thing looks like when it's not mounted on an experimental breadboard. And it's just tiny. So you got to do a little bit of soldering or use spring pins or something like that to get pins in here to interface it to the world. But it's a really, 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 really cool thing. Now, you can still get Raspberry Pi Zeros out there. Here's a Raspberry Pi Zero. It's a Raspberry Pi. It runs Raspberry Pi operating system and so much more. It's got an on-the-go USB port. The other one's a power port. Full-blown HDMI out. Micro SD card, camera interface, 40 GPIO pins. It's a great little thing if you're not talking about running, 4 terabyte databases or a whole bunch of servers or something like that. These are wonderful boxes to learn to, code on, practice Linux administration commands and things like that. And you can still pick those up for 10, 15 bucks. A couple bucks more for a power supply and set it up for SSH access. All right, all my posted stuff was in the 226 through 227 range. Andre posted in there, join our Discord channel, have a look around, ask questions, answer if you can. Sure. It's a great place. I really like that. I'm logged in 24 hours a day. If I'm in front of my computer and it's turned on, I'm logged in. So if you ping me over there, I will hear it. I may not answer right away. I'm always busy, but I will get to you right quick. Arib Khan, we having a quiz today? You bet we are. I picked a good quiz question this morning. It's going to be a fun one. It's going to be a multiple choice one. Not hot dog day, dog day. I love that even better. You put the dog on the plate with the toilet paper and the hamburger. The dog eats the hamburger and then and plays with the toilet paper. My dog does that, did that. Okay, if it's on his public website, I'm good with that, Zachary. Wow, June 23rd. I'm working on that. Wheels are turning June 23rd. I might have said June. Sorry, I've already lost the reference. Plus the amount of Pi distros. Sure, zillions. Eduardo Beltran says 8. Right back at you. 9. Ocho. Wheat. Ich ni sanyan go shi hach. Q. We'll do it in Japanese. You can tell when I don't know Japanese well enough, I have to still count it on my fingers. All right, that gets me caught up to questions. Let's go back to my outline. A couple quickie things to talk about on the outline. First of all, my new EBSS ID. I posted the info on this on the on Discord last night, but I will share this all with everybody because not everybody here plays Discord with us yet. So a couple months ago, I got a new computer. My new daily driver runs Ubuntu, and it has an 802.11ax Wi-Fi interface. It's my first computer with 802.11ax. And so I've been on the hunt for a while to pick up an 802.11ax router. And I got one a month ago or so, and it's sat in a box on the kitchen table ever since I bought it. So yesterday, kids gone off to college. The missus went out with the girlfriends after work. So I said, I'm going to attack this project and get her going. Now, one of the issues that I have in my house is my normal Wi-Fi router is upstairs in our bedroom. And the only time we're upstairs is to do laundry or to sleep and stuff like that. And so if I connect wirelessly, like from my phone from downstairs, it's not a great connection. It's a satisfactory connection, but it's not great. And so I thought, well, if I replace that with this new AX, or this is an 802.11 AC router upstairs, if I replace that, it's still going to be upstairs and we're still mostly going to do downstairs activities. So I thought, well, I will just use this as an augmentation then. I'm going to create, instead of an SSID or a basic service set identifier, which just means one router with an SSID, I'm going to have two connected to the same wired network. And they're going to advertise with the same names, the same SSIDs, and people will connect downstairs to this one. It'll be close. They'll have a nice strong signal. It's an AX signal. It's powerful and it's fast. And then it'll use a wired gigabit connection to the upstairs router, which in turn goes to the internet. So that's an EBSS ID, an extended basic service set identifier. So upstairs, I got a 2.4 gigahertz connection. Its SSID is called SSID2, and we'll say that the password to connect to that is pass1. I also have a 5 gigahertz one for the AC and for the end connection stuff. His SSID is SSID5 and different password. You know how to think about this? It's actually the same password. They're both pass1, but okay. So I set this guy up downstairs. 4 hours. When you try to use the utility that came with this thing that you download from the Apple Store or iOS Play Store. And so I'm doing workarounds all over the place and eventually finally got a way to get in and attack the beast and get it configured into what's called access point mode. It's not a wireless access point, but access point mode, which basically makes it an extension of this thing. You still have to manually configure your wireless interfaces. So I configured them so that the SSID of the 2 gigahertz connection is the same as the SSID of the 2 gigahertz connection upstairs, did the same for the 5 gigahertz connections, made them the same passwords, and that's the magic of it now. So if I'm running around with my cell phone upstairs, it connects to the strongest 5 gigahertz signal that I've told it to remember. And as I go downstairs, that signal gets weaker, this signal gets stronger. I am now roaming. And he says, okay, well, I'm going to switch over to here. It's got the same SSID. I'll apply the password that you said to remember. It works. So the transfer as you roam back and forth between these things is transparent. And when I run the numbers, I get somewhere between 600 and 900 megabit per second when I'm downstairs connecting through here, as opposed to the 100 to 200 megabit per second when I'm downstairs connecting up here. And of course, it's fully backward compatible with AC and N and G and all that stuff. I could have disabled that, but I'm not trying to keep anybody in my house from accessing anything. And the passwords are tight enough that the neighbors probably won't guess them. So that's been my new project. The whole thing took about 6 hours. The configuring it was 4 hours, and it was just because I had to overcome the obstacles of the application that's provided by the router manufacturer. By the way, these are both the same router manufacturer. That was both a help and a hindrance in some areas, but it's cool stuff. Set yourself up now. Yeah, sure. I got wires running in exposed places, but we got all this destruction going on. So as the contractors do their work, we'll open up and bury some of the wires in the walls. All right, done with that. Okay, so a new Pico arrived in the mail yesterday. Oh man, I didn't cut that up. Well, it looks like every other Pico. So it looks just like this one. With two differences. The Pico WH model. H means headers. Instead of having holes here that I have to solder into, it's already got headers mounted and pre-soldered. And W is wireless. It's got a built-in Wi-Fi interface on there. So this is a really awesome foundation for IoT. I can hook up sensors to this thing. I can do water sensors and temperature and humidity and rain gauge and all that other good stuff. There's tons and tons and tons of sensors out there. And then it wirelessly is accessible to and through my Wi-Fi network. I should mention, I mentioned this a couple of weeks ago, but it became real and useful for the first time this week. I bought a box, call it an IoT box. And all it does, it's got a little battery backup in it. It's connected to my Wi-Fi, and it senses power from a power outlet. I was having problems losing power to my backup refrigerator. And so I've got this on the same power jack, the same wall jack that my fridge is connected to. And if power ever goes out on that thing, the battery lasts long enough to send an email to me and to send a text to me that says, hey, power in the, I can fill in whatever value I want there, garage has gone out. And we happen to be having a huge rainstorm that day. And that made total sense. Whenever we get a really, really, really big rainstorm, one of the ground fault circuit interrupted jacks outside shorts out for a little while until the rain stops, and then the rain drips away from that thing, and I go reset the ground fault circuit interrupter and came back. But that was useful because I would never have known. It might have been days before I go out to that fridge and say, oh my gosh, how long has this thing been turned off? So what a blessing. And I say that because I had to do a little slugging it out with their customer service group. I bought the thing used and it didn't have the access code information to it. And I did 3 or 4 or 5 emails back and forth to them before I finally was able to convince them to send me the access code. I know that it was based on their the MAC address, and the MAC address was posted on a chip inside. So look, here's the MAC address. I know that you can gen me up an access code from whatever algorithm you use and send that, and then we'll fire this thing up. And they finally begrudgingly sent me one. Here's your access code, but if it comes online and we detect that there's a problem with it, we're going to disable it. Well, thank you very much. If there's a problem with it, I'm not going to use it. I don't need you to disable it. But it came online and it's been running for 6 weeks or so. And what a wonderful thing. Okay, why do I mention that? Because we had to communicate with another customer service organization within a product provider the other day. And they could not have been more helpful. Bent over backward to solve this simple problem quickly and easily. So what I got in my hand here is what's left of a pull tab from a zipper of a purse that my wife really likes. In fact, she likes the manufacturer. And so let me sing the praises of the manufacturer. As a purse maker, and they make other stuff called Montana West. There's no double N's in there, single N and single N. And I didn't realize this until I communicated with their customer service department, but they're very close to me. They're up in Dallas. And so they don't have a customer service contact email, but I went to their website and I sent a message to a sales email. You know, dear sirs, this thing broke and I will be happy if it's available to purchase a new one and pay for shipping and all that stuff. And they wrote back and said, no problem. Shipping one to you right now. And we're not even sending UPS or postal service. We're shipping it via trackable shipping shipper. And what wonderful people sent me nice messages and no, don't pay for it. We're happy to help. And I didn't tell them that I was going to talk about them and then sing their praises on here. I did after the fact. So Montana West, this does not roll up everybody's alley, but they have a strong product line of handbags that have concealed carry pouches in them. And it's one of the reasons the missus really likes them. And so, you know, if you are into carrying your whatever carry component that you would like to keep hidden but easily accessible in a handbag, and this isn't ladies only, you could be a they or a them, or just call it a man purse, a merce, right? Good manufacturer, quality stuff. All right, enough of that nonsense. Check questions and then we'll come back and we'll do a giveaway. 57. That'll put me a hair late, but I'm all right. All right, reading questions here. All right, only one happened, all that. EMH is here. Please state the neticle of the nature emergency. Thank you. I've always wanted to know how to set that up. There you go. Yeah, the secret is to put it in access point mode. And it can be a real challenge. Blue Lantern. I just bought a voucher for 1001 and 1002. It says I have to use it within 1 year. Is it possible? They just stopped selling the voucher in October, but I can still use the voucher for 1 year. Okay, so you're up against kind of a neat little challenge. You have two choices. Look, on October 20th, the 10OX exams are going to go away. So if you're going to take the 10OX exam, you got to use it before then to register for those exams. Now, what happens if you miss that window? Well, I'm sorry, I just fuzzed out. I can see the fuzziness on my thing because of doing this. There, okay, clear. If today you said to yourself, you said, self, I'm not going to take the 1002 exam. I'm going to take the 1102 and the 1101. You can use that voucher to register for that exam and pay for it. That'll work. I suspect, but I can't swear to this, that will still work after October 20th. But I don't know the guaranteed answer to that. So it's possible that our people know that. If you bought it from us, send them an email and they will know that. It's certainly possible that CompTIA will know it. Just go to CompTIA.org and send a message to their customer service and they will know it. Let me tell you also, everybody, a little trick. Let's say that you bought an 11OX voucher today. Now, 10 months later, 11 months later, you say, man, I never did get around to studying that. I'm not going to have time to take the test and pass it before these vouchers expires. Here's what you do. Register for the test at least a week out. Make sure that it's a week before it expires. Make sure it's a week after today. Okay, never do anything within a 24-hour window because that'll lock everything out. So I give myself a week. And then after your exam is registered, wait a day or 2 or 3 and change the date. You can do that for up to a year later. Now, technically, they could decline that, but I've never, ever heard of that being declined. Excuse me. And I know that people do it all the time. Now, don't mix metaphors here, right? Don't sign up for a 10.0x exam today and then try to change it for an 11.0x in a week. That won't work. You got to stay within whatever you can reschedule the exam you scheduled for, but you can't use it to change exams. So I'm sorry. The short answer to your question is I'm not certain. Everything I've told you that I am certain of, I am, but whether or not you could use it to pay for an 11.0 exam after October 20th, I don't know. All right. Let's do a contest. Let's see. Today's contest is going to be a multiple choice question. It doesn't have A, B, C, D in front of it or things like that. You have to type in the answer. The spelling will be available. I'm going to have it right there up on the screen. There is one answer out of the 5 choices that I'm going to put up there. Some of you are going to think it's a trick question. No, it's a knowledge question. You got to know what you're doing here. You may submit one answer one time to win this, and winner will receive 90-day access to the total tester of his or her choice. And I'll send you the information on how to collect your winnings after this. Let me get that all set up so that I can do what I need to do in a good time. The other thing is all set up and ready to go. Okay, looks good. All right, so multiple choice question. You get one guess. So think about it, right? There's a hard one in here. It's going to confuse a lot of people. If you're not sure, take a second and look it up. Or if you think, nah, a lot of people are going to know this, I'm going to just take a chance and hope it's this one, not one of those ones. Whatever. Do your own strategy. Whatever works for you works for me. All right, let me get the thing up and ready to post. All right, there is the question on my screen. Okay, that'll share. Are you ready? Here comes the question. You're going to type your answer into the chat, and I will remember to announce the right answer as well as the winner. Not doing that mic thing where I just announced the winner. Okay, ready? Here it goes. We are sharing. So the question is, this is from kind of the SY0601, but I did modify a little bit. Which Linux command can be used to capture network traffic? 5 choices here, 1 answer to select from. Type in the right answer. Your choices are netcap, 1 word, netcat, 1 word, TCP cap, 1 word, TCP dump, 1 word, net dump, 1 word. Which Linux command from that list, single answer, can be used to capture network traffic? If you haven't already begun, you may begin. I will look at what's getting posted there. Hot dog, hamburger, and toilet paper are not valid answers. Okay, I'm looking at a mixed group of choices. That makes me happy. I like that. I have a possible winner. I want to check and see how frequently that possible winner has possibly won. And maybe we pick someplace else. Okay. I spell that right? No. All right, there's one win. There's two wins. Nah, too many wins. Unless somebody else doesn't get it. All right, there's another possibility. Let me check that one. Excuse me. Sorry about the humming. That's how it works, unfortunately, sometimes. There's a win on that one and a win on that one. Too many. Still moving along. There's one. I know this person hasn't won. And I know this person has communicated with me begging for a way to win. It's going to happen today, my friend. But not because I set it up to make you the winner. I didn't know you had a choice in there. So, all right, we have a winner. And there were lots of good guesses. I'll talk about each of these. I'll come back to it in just a moment. Give me a second to do paperwork on here. Winner, winner's name, winner's answer. Save that and prep this to go. So much to do when I do this solo. Sorry about that. Okay. The correct answer, let's put the page up here and actually say so, is TCP dump. That's the utility, that's the command that actually causes Linux to capture packets. You can't see or analyze the packets with that, but that's the capture in Linux. In Windows, the capture utility, stop it, is pcap, winpcap, ettercap, some things like that. So let's take a look at these. Netcap. Netcap is a program that does analysis, and it works with pcap, TCP dump, and things like that. But in and of itself, it is not the packet capture utility. Netcat, there may be a command called netcat, but it doesn't capture packets. TCP cap, nope, that was just some word that I made up that sounded like it should be right. TCP dump is the capture command, and net dump is a command that I made up. So our winner is, where'd your name go? There you go, Arib Khan. Arib Khan, I have posted at 3:06 my time the instructions on how to submit your winnings. You're going to send an email to me, to daveR@total7.com. Now get this one right, because there's a lot of people who mangle this, and I just decline it and say, here, resubmit it and get it right. You got to put 4 pieces of information in the body of the email. Your YouTube name, Arib Khan, your real name, your real given name, your first name, and your surname. A lot of people miss that, or they'll say same as YouTube name. Don't do that. It's got to be a complete shiny new entry in the email. The email address that you want me to use to send you your access credentials and which practice test you would like to study for. Now go and check the Total Sem website and find out what practice tests we have for. And then when you submit your email to me, tell me the test number that you'll be taking. So you're talking about A+. Sorry, got a weird back channel message that's not going to work right now. So if it's going to be A+, you're going to say 220-10OX, or if it's Net Plus, N10-008, whatever the case may be. So congratulations, Arib Khan, you did win one. Huzzah. Stand by. This is a message from the boss, and therefore I must respond. Okay. And is that everything on these slides that I need? Now, one more, this. All right, well, that gets us caught up then. The next thing to do is our 2 projects today. Repeat question? Yeah. Too late. I repeated it about 10 times when it was up, sorry. Sudo apt get traffic. Sometimes it's fun just to go back and see what got entered after a winner was chosen. And TCP gap, TCP dump, fingers crossed, get traffic. Okay, good. So that was a good, I like that one. I like it when it requires a little bit of thinking and research. Yes. Okay. Yeah. Muhammad El Abayad, you were correct. And so was Charlie Schaefer. You guys both had 2 wins under your belts this year. So I went with somebody who hasn't won yet. No, that's not a reused question. I wrote that one out of my, I guess it could have been a reused question. I may have used it in the past and didn't remember, but all right, let's get that stuff out of the way and let's talk project. I got 2 projects. One of them is a website that I want to show you. It's called explainshell.com. Open up another window. I'll just talk and you can bounce back and forth between windows, or watch the show later, get my downloads and see my examples and things like that. Copy my examples from my download documents. It's the way to go. So let me go and get that set up and share it with you. And then I'll do my notes here. Okay, there's explain shell. And then we share it. Clickety clack. I don't know if that's going to work. Screen sharing has stopped. The shared window is closed. Let's try that again. Screen share. There we go. All right, explainshell.com. This is an interactive web app that will explain what the switches of a Linux command that you type in mean. It gets information from man pages. It gets information from artificial intelligence. Let me get some notes and I'm going to run you through some complex examples. And that'll give you an idea of what this thing is doing. It's really impressive. This is not this. You don't need to know about explainshell.com to prep for the exam. It's explainshell.com, exactly what it says. It's an easy way to learn about different command line switches. And so here, let's just try something real simple and straightforward. It's going to remember a lot of the ones that I've typed in here because I didn't clear. We all know about the ls command. So let's just do straight ls, explain or enter. And what happens is it will highlight or underline a command, and then it'll create a box that explains that command. And if I add switches after that, so there's the explanation, ls lists directory contents. Now let's add a switch to it. How about ls minus L? So there's that ls and the box explanation of it. And then if I leave my mouse over here, they all get highlighted. But if I go hover my mouse over something that's underlined, all the other underlines go away. And you'll see that that can become really practical because if you do a complicated command, there's going to be a lot of boxes and a lot of lines. So ls minus L says, okay, we're going to run the ls in long format. Let's add one more switch to that. How about ls minus LA? And it would work if I said AL or minus L space minus A, all the same ways that you can enter them on the command line. So, okay, there's the ls explanation box. And now I'm hovering my cursor over each of the 2 switches and getting the appropriate highlighted line and box. So there's our L, use long listing. There's our A, all include invisible entries, entries that start with a dot. That gets pretty cool. All right, how badly am I mangling this? I got to move this over someplace where I can use this without losing it. No, sorry, there we go. Okay, now I'm able to move it. Now, how about we typo something in here? So there's a command called find in Linux, but let's say we do fin instead of find. So we fin it. And there's where we get the clue that he uses man pages to come up with explanations for this stuff. So let's, oh, okay, I see, I typoed it. What I should have said, oh, by the way, what happens if we do, no, I'm not gonna do something that I didn't practice. So how about find / minus name, single quote, ls. So what I want to accomplish here is look through my Linux file system to find the program, to find the file that's called ls. So we'll hit the enter key on here. And okay, find searches the files in a directory hierarchy. And /, they don't give much of a good explanation here. / is specific here. So they tell us there are all kinds of things that you can do. / means at what level directory should I start searching? So it's not perfect. It's good, but it's got a long way to go. And then here's the individual switches. This is all together. Name ls says name followed by a pattern, and the pattern has to be in single quotes. So that's how we specify the name of some program or file to look for. So it doesn't care that it's ls, it just cares that you know how to use the syntax of the -name parameter. One more here. So let's say that I want to look through an error log for every instance of the word error in there, because error logs don't just track errors, they track Fred logged in at this time, Fred logged out at that time. So this is a really, really cool and smart command where I want to look through a log file and all I care about is the errors, but I'm not sure how to use that. So I'll try something. grep error whack etsy whack ssh log. Let's see, enter key. Okay, the grep command prints, that means shows on screen lines that match a pattern. And then we get the syntax, the pattern, the word error, and then the name of the file that you want to look at. Now I got one really long, ugly, evil, complicated one here that I did just for hoots. It's another grep command where we take the output of a grep command and then run it into another command and take the output of that command and run it to the input of another command and then do it again. And I'll explain all this in just a second here. This is a series of commands. So here's the primary command. And here's a switch -EO. That means use a pattern. And okay, do I care? Nah. But we're going to look for -E with the O parameter in a file called file.txt. So, okay, it's an input file. Then we're going to take the output of that and we're going to pipe it into the sort command, which is going to alphabetize the results. And then we're going to take the output of that and pipe it. By the way, notice that when I hover over the pipe, I have the pipe used 3 times in this command. There's one box that explains them one time. So that kind of makes sense. So I'm going to take the output of the sort command and I'm going to pass it into the unique command. The unique command, if we could get down to that box without losing everything, says anytime there's a duplicate line, I'm going to get rid of one of them. And that only works, by the way, if the lines are adjacent to each other. If I have a line that says hello, hello, today is Monday, hello. The 2 hellos together will turn into 1 hello. And then today is Monday will stay intact, and then another hello will last here. And then I finally take that unique alphabetized found content, and I'm going to run it into the word count utility and count -L way on down in these boxes the number of lines for that. That's a real command. We could dive into all that a day. There it is. So it also does these in generally the order that you printed these in. So that's the Explain Shell website. Really useful, really interesting. If you see a command and you're told to run it and you're not sure what it does, copy and paste it into the box here, and you will know what it's going to do or have a much better idea of what it does than what you had before that. So cool, huh? All right. Now I want to talk about a particular command, the cat command. We live and die in the cat command as administrators. If you're a Windows user and you're working with files, you won't work with text files very much. Linux, on the other hand, works extensively in text files. And for that reason, there are a lot of text file utilities to see them and to manipulate them, to do all kinds of cool things with them. And one of the ones that we use a lot is the cat command. And we tend to think of the cat command as a command that's used to view the contents of a file. Okay, that's true. But there's so much more. Cat is an amazing thing. If you want to do what I'm doing here today, two things. You need a running Linux system and you need some text files. Where can I get text files? Two places. You can make them. You can copy them. But if you download from pirsquare.zapto.org, let me put that back up here. Dave's documents. http://pirsquare.zapto.org. Download my outline. It's the biggest file in there. And run down through there and you will see a set of instructions that will tell you exactly how to get all of the text files. I have many, many, many text files here that I used for today's lab. I'm not going to talk you through this. It's easy enough to get, but it's very simple. And when I get to one of them, I'm going to explain a bit of a problem that I found with that this morning, but I'll get you fixed. All right. So our motivation for this, because there is an objective in the 11.0x series to know stuff about the cat command. Now, you don't have to know everything there is to know. Books have been written on the cat command, but I'm going to give you everything that you need to know and maybe just a hair more about the cat command to get through any questions that they're going to ask you on the CompTIA exam. As always, we recommend don't memorize things. Use things until you understand them, until you know them. So this is a great opportunity to do that. Do it in any Linux distro you got. All right, let me fire up a terminal so we can share and talk. Putty pi at drama.local. I know you can't see it. You will. How are we doing on time here? It's 23. We're all right. Password is raspberry, RASPBERRY. All right, now we share. And then we move this over here and this over here. Raleigh, we do. Oh, come on. All right. We are now qualified to be dangerous. Now, if you just type in the word cat, for the moment, something bad will happen. So we're not going to do that. So if you want to know everything there is to know about the cat command, there are two ways to do it. Check out the manual pages. Man cat. Sounds like a horror movie. It's like a werewolf. It's a man cat. And I'll go through the stuff that we're going to mess with on here. But there's not much. You can see there's only 4 switches on here. I'm scrolled all the way from the top to the bottom here. Capital A, lowercase b, lowercase e, and capital E. And I'm not even going to go through all that stuff. So cool. Q to quit that. And the other one is cat -- help. And there's actually a few more things in here that are potentially useful. But I'll do everything that we need to know on that. So let's live without. The usual tool, let me go into my place where I have all my files. The usual use of beginners for the cat command is to look at the contents of one file. That's really not what cat's all about, but it works to do that. So let's take a look at the files that I have in here, a whole bunch of text files in here. I can look at them in short format like that, ls minus LA or AL. There's all those same files with more information about them. And we added the A in case there's any hidden files in here. There's not. All right, you get the idea. Am I going to do that? Okay, so if you want to look at the contents of a file, cat is one way to do it. How about something like cat word list, wordlist.txt. Now, the problem with that is there's a lot of words in that list. You can see they're all alphabetized already, and I'm scrolling and I'm scrolling and I'm scrolling. So sometimes it's not the best tool to do that. And for that, we got two other great tools to view contents of text files. One of them is the more command. So we can more, what was that, word list? And the more command can only do one thing. It can move down using the page down or the arrow down. Ah, they've added some functionality to this one. I'm going up. Okay, used to be you couldn't go up. So cool, that's one way to do it. And the other one is the less command. Looks the same, but it has search capability. I do the slash, and then I put in a word that I want to search for. I don't know what's in here. Okay, it didn't. Oh, it did find mug. Let's look for a word that doesn't exist. Slash money, moan. Okay, couldn't find it, and it didn't take me to a general area. All right, and that's something that more can't do. All right, but we're going to use cat today to do what we need to do. So again, the usual way to use cat for most, again, beginners is to use cat and then the name of some text file, like file1.txt. But cat stands for concatenate, means put together, and the intended use of cat is to take the contents of two text files, put them together, and display them on a screen. Display and view. I want to start changing the terms there. When a Linux utility sends something to a screen, that's called standard out and is abbreviated STD out. So we're going to call that, and whenever we talk about displaying something on a screen, it's now standard out or stand out. So this file one, it only had one thing in it, 6 lines, 5 lines, whatever that case may be. Now let's take a look at another file here. I'm going to cat file3.txt. Okay, so it starts up here with rejoin, ends down here with eludes, got some blank lines in there. Here's a warning. I just discovered this today. When I downloaded all of these files, I've been using a whole bunch of different files, and I said, well, I'm going to use ones to make this exercise work. So I downloaded using the instructions that you're going to hopefully download and practice this with. And when I went to look at the contents of file 3, it didn't have any blank lines in it. So when you get this, use your favorite text editor and throw a couple of blank lines in there. Do 2 together, do 1, you get the idea. And that'll help these exercises work out a lot more. Okay, so we just looked at the contents of 2 files, file 1 and file 3. Now, the normal use for cat is to see both of those files put together in standard out on the screen. So we would say cat file1.txt followed by file3.txt. And there they all are. Here's everything in file 1, the first 6 characters, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 lines. And then here's where file 3 began. Whatever order you put them in on this command line is the order that they will be shown in. So let's put them, let's do that one again real quick. And note that it ends with elude and begins with zebra. So let's reverse them. File 3, followed by file 1. So now it begins with zebra. Oops. Begins with rejoin, which is the first entry in file 3, and ends with victory, which is the last entry in file 1. All right. So, okay. That's nice if I want to look on the screen to see all that. That can get pretty long, right? Okay, I did that. Oh, I did these in also with another exercise in here, cat file B. Stop it. Okay, there's file B, cat file B. Oh, there's 2 of them there. That's why. Okay. I see what you're doing. Okay, so there's a little bigger file to work with. And then cat file D. That's also a pretty big one. And again, we can put those together. B and then file D. And there they all are together, concatenated on this screen. Well, that's great if it didn't make it so big that I couldn't screen through. But what would be really interesting is if I were to create, instead of standard output, a file. And we can do that. You can redirect. No, you can't. It's not redirect. You can create a file in replacement of standard output using the greater than symbol. So I'm going to say, instead of sending this to the screen, send it to a file. And we're going to call that file combined.txt. So we didn't see anything happen, but this file didn't exist before, is combined.txt. And if we take a look at it, there's those 2 files put together in order of file B followed by file D. Now I want to warn you about something. If you do this same command, but in reverse order, let's make it D, then B, he's going to do it. And he's not going to warn you that says, hey, there's already a file called combined.txt that exists. I'm going to overwrite it. Is that okay? Linux doesn't do that. It assumes that you know what you're doing. So if you wanted a separate file, you might call this combined.txt with a capital C, or add a number, or make it a totally different file name. Get the idea. But I'm going to redo this. No warnings, no errors. He just did it. So this is going to look kind of similar when I do an ls. And I know you didn't memorize the contents of the file, but if I cat it, trust me that file D is first and file B is second. So how about instead, I want to add to a file, append the contents of a file. We can do that. And the way we're going to do this is with the double greater than. So I've already got a file called combined.txt. What I want to do is add the contents of another file to the end of that. Let's do this one. Cat, let's do a regular cat on file 1 here, so we can learn a little something about it. .text. So it's 6 lines running zebra through victory. I'm going to do the same command, but instead of sending to the screen, it's a standard output, I'm going to append it to combined.text. And cat isn't the only thing that we can do this output creation with. There's every utility will work with this. Combined.text. Okay. No messages on the screen. So now let's cat combine.text again. Remember, we started with zebra and we ended with victory. And there's the last 6 line, zebra through victory, and all the other ones were left intact. Nice. Now, while we're here, I want to bump into 2 other quick commands. What are we doing here? 35. Oh, fine. We're going to be done in just a couple of minutes. There's 2 commands out there that if you want to just look at the first handful of lines of a file or the last handful of lines, you can do that without seeing what could potentially be millions of lines, right? One is called the head command and the other is called the tail command. Now I got a file in here called example.txt. Let's take a look at it in its entirety. Cat example.txt. Ends with, this is the end of the file. That's kind of nice. Starts with some 55s and a hello world and pile of lines in there. What's this one here? This is line 31. So if I just want to look at the first 10 lines of that file, I can use the head command. Head by default looks at only the first 10 lines of a file. So if I say head example.txt, there we go, the first 10 lines. Now, if I want to see more than 10 lines, line 10 ended with census here. I can do the same command, but add a flag, N space, and the number of lines, beginning lines that you want to see. So let's add 2 more lines to the default here. We'll see N12, example.txt. So here's that 10th line before, oh, and 2 more, armful and denim. Tail works the same way. By default, shows 10 lines, the last 10 lines of a file. So 10th from the bottom is emerald, and I can use the N command in exactly the same way, the N flag minus N12. Now let's say that you only cared about these 12 lines, that the last 12 lines of today's file are important to me. So you could use the file create director. And instead of looking them out on your screen, I don't know, tail out of example.txt. Nothing on the screen, but now if I cat it, there they are all in the file. Nice, huh? Almost done. Now there's 2 switches that I want to show you. Cat minus minus help. And they are the lowercase b command flag and the lowercase n. N numbers all output lines. Again, it's just on your screen. Remember, cat makes no changes to original files. It either shows you their contents on screen or you can take the output of them and create a new file out of them. You could also accidentally overwrite the old file, so be careful. So N puts a line number on the screen on standard out at the beginning of each line. B does the same thing, except it won't number blank lines. So let's try that. Cat minus N. This is a different minus N than head or tail. And let's take a look at file 1. It had 6 lines in it, starting with zebra through victory. And so he put a line number at the beginning of each one. That's all it does. The original file still says the same thing. I can still do a regular cat file N and it'll just show zebra through runway. Now, if I do the minus B on this, try that again. Oh, there we go. It's exactly the same because there were no blank lines on here. So let's try that, those both on a line, on a file that has some blank lines in it. So if we cat minus N file 3, that's got some blank lines in it. Line 6 was blank. Line 9 and 10 were blank. Line 15 was blank. But they got numbered. So let's get rid of those. And now only lines with actual text on them get numbered. So again, we could take this, we could, what did you just do there? Okay. I was playing around in my other world for a second. I could take the output of these things and make new files out of them that have line numbers in them. How about something like cat minus B file 1.txt and file 3.txt and generate a new file. Numbered lines. Let's make a dash .text. And there she goes. Notes. There's numbered lines.txt. So we'll take a look at that. Cat numbered lines.txt. And there they all are. The first 6 lines came from file 1. And therefore, when we added file 3, the first line of that became the 7th line of that original minus B output. Now I want to show you one other thing. This one's weird. It's an edge case. 99 and a half times nobody would ever do this. It's very weird. It's very unusual. And if I was going to do what this will accomplish, excuse me, there are probably better ways. But this was the warning that I showed you at the beginning. If you just type in the command cat, sorry, I'm not going to do that yet. I'm going to create a file by typing in the contents. So I'm going to say cat, no parameters, and say whatever you do here, excuse me, send it to a file called, I don't know, keyinput.txt. And it just sits there with a prompt. So what I do now is I just start typing things in. Hello, doctor, name, continue, yesterday, tomorrow. Some of you guys better get this. And when I'm done typing in what I want to be in this file called keyinput.txt, I will do Control-C. And there it is, keyinput.txt. Take a look at it. And there it is. Hello, Dr. Name, continue, yesterday, tomorrow. I had an example here. It's actually kind of silly. How about we head it? There's no point because there's less than 10 lines there. But if I only wanted to see the first 3 lines, I could do that. Head minus N3. There we go. And likewise, you can do the same thing with tail. Only had 6 lines in it. If I only wanted to see the last 3. Continue, yesterday, tomorrow. So that's a way to create a file with input. That's okay. There's a lot of other ways to make files, but that doesn't hurt. Now, how about, this is the last one. This is the really weird edge case that makes cat work like the echo command. We just type in cat and it sits there with a prompt. Whatever you type in will be echoed on the line below it. So I might type in welcome, enter, and it echoes back welcome to drama. And when you're done with this, you finish it off with Control C. Nothing was created. It just echoes back whatever you type in. Now, maybe there's some validity to say, what if you're trying to type in unusual characters that would go in a text file? If cat can't echo them back, then they wouldn't work. So maybe that's a nice test to try out certain characters. I just came up with that. I don't know. But folks, that's the cat command. You got to know that -n and that -b for cat. You got to know the general syntax, cat, option flags, file name. You don't have to know how to redirect standard output to a file or to append to a file. You do in other areas, but not for that. And so the cat command can be used to send the contents of a single text file to your screen called standard output, or it can be sent to create a new file. It can use standard output to show the contents of multiple files, huge list of multiple files if you want to go crazy. And again, something like that might be great for, I don't know, generating large database text files. You can create a new file with a single greater than. You can append instead of overwrite or create existing files with a pair of them. They go right up next to each other. There's a little more to cat. That's more than everything that you need to know to prep for CompTIA exam. And so that's everything that I've got for today, except all the closing stuff and final questions. Let me take a look at that, see where that goes. See if anybody did anything while I was yammering all along there. A little bit. Arib Khan says, thank you. I finally won. What do you mean finally won? You've been trying for all of a week and a half. No, I don't reuse questions. We always use new ones. I grok that grep. I love grok. Nobody knows grok. Raymond Quick. Cat makes my screen look ugly, so I use Vim to read the file, then promptly forget what it was I looked up. So cat and grep are probably a valid thing. You know, it depends on what you're doing with. Vim is appropriate, nano is appropriate. It's all kinds of possibilities. Raymond Quick is talking to JK. Who's JK? JK is Japanese slang for high school student. All right, well, let's see. Only takes a few times doing that before you get frustrated. Okay, so where you're going with that. Okay. See, that was Dave's documents. Oh, let me repost some of the useful links for today. I wish I could do all this as a single copy paste, but limitations of the YouTube chat window, huh? Okay, so there goes Pi Square link. It'll be up until late Sunday night. If you need it up some other time during the week, just contact me on Discord or send me an email to the email address that I'm about to poke up here and say when you want it up, and I will have it up for you at that time and you can get it. Email addresses right here. And my LinkedIn profile. That's all the stuff that needs to be recopied. All right, now back to any other posts that happened twixt then and there. Longing rusted furnace daybreak 7. Thank you. I should have copied and pasted those and used those in one of my word list entries. It was a different question, but same answer. Okay. What's my call sign? KC8JQ. Kings, cards, eights, queens, jacks, queens. There we go. I haven't done that in a long time phonetically. I prefer code, but I do. Okay, there's all my links. And no, I don't do, we are focused here at Total Seminars on CompTIA, and I am focused on CompTIA and Linux. So those are the courses we do. I've been dragged off writing my Linux course right now for the last couple of weeks. Kept thinking I'm going to get back to it, and then the phone starts ringing and the emails start coming, and it's killing me. I might have to abandon this one and just go straight for the new Linux 5 content. KK4, RK. We're in the KKs, huh? Man, my original call sign was KA8 CVW, Kilowatt Alpha 8 Charlie Victor Whiskey, and then N10 CHJ. And I've been very happy with my my old advanced call, KC8JQ. I never wanted a 1x2 or a 2x1. That's not true. I wanted a 2x1, but they're all, or a 1x2, but they're all gone. And there's no cool vanity ones. For anybody who's wondering, we're talking about amateur radio call sign assignments. When you become a ham radio operator, an amateur radio operator, and pass the appropriate tests, FCC issues you a license, and FCC in the US starts our licenses with either the letter K, N, or A. Other countries, different ones. France is F. What a shocker. Germany is D, Deutschland. All right, well, I'm going to wind things up here unless any other new questiones come to pass. I don't need that file anymore. Let me go see here in this one, what closing things I want to talk about. So upcoming shows, still got the astrophotography one coming up. I had to do something yesterday, and that was to identify all of the ports and protocols that you have to know in N10 1100 A+. Now I've done that in the past for, 220 1100. So I've done that in the past for 220 10OX. I've done it for the last two Net Pluses, N10 007 and N10 008, and for Security Plus, of course, SY0501 and SY0601. We have a document that we maintain. Did I put the site for that? Yes, I do have I got a link for that I'll throw up in a couple of seconds, where you can get these. And I had to do an update on that. I had to pull out the N10 007 stuff and add in the new ones for N10 008. And I started thinking about that. A long time ago, we did some shows that said, don't memorize ports and protocols, use them until you get to know them. And so we said, all right, well, if you got to know port 80, let's build a web server, and then let's access it with a web browser. And then we'll use Wireshark to capture that and see the port 80 and the HTTP calls in there. And we did that for all kinds of basic ones, FTP and HTTPS and SSH and lots of other goodies. So those are still out there, but I was thinking about doing some of the ones that we've never done before, like the mail ports and the secure mail ports and some of those other ones. So I'm still debating on whether or not I want to do that. It's a little on the dry side, but it is important, and it's something that we've got to do here in order to prep for the A+. And again, I don't want you to memorize. If you have to memorize, you got to memorize. Flashcards are your best tool, and frankly, paper flashcards are way better than electronic flashcards. You can do that while you're riding shotgun and somebody else is driving. You can do that anytime, anywhere, without necessarily using a tablet or a computer or whatever. But if you can get your hands on it, if you can set up a web server and set up the port 80 or set up an alternative port 8080, that's how you learn this stuff. You do it. I should also mention, people ask all the time, nobody asked today on chat feed, but I used to, especially if you haven't been around here for a long time, one of my set pieces every week was a different concert shirt. And eventually I got through all my concert shirts and I don't like to repeat. So I stopped doing that. But the missus and I went to a concert a couple of weeks ago, week and a half ago, and we picked up a couple of concert shirts from that one. Last week, I put up a concert shirt that we didn't go see. It's a concert shirt from an artist back home that we wore just to bring some people out of the woodwork who might be from our original back home, Ohio, in the Cleveland area. And sure enough, it worked. We had these MSB shirts on as a group called Michael Stanley Band, and all the upper Midwesterners, the Ohioans and the Indiana and the Michigan MSB, where are you guys from? And so we had some nice conversations from that. We saw 3 bands. We got shirts from 2 of them. One of them was Men at Work. And so this is my Men at Work concert t-shirt from a week and a half ago, 2 weeks ago, I guess it's been. And next week I will have a different shirt. There was 3 bands that showed up at that concert. And it was just a wonderful way to go catch a concert. 3 good bands back to back. Man, what a great time. All right, let me check for any final call. Let's see. Mike's show on Monday. He hasn't told me that he's going to do any special. I've given him some ideas and he was planning on doing them, but like me, he just gets sucked in by all the day-to-day and sometimes doesn't have any opportunity to prep. So maybe something special, maybe nothing special on Monday. Wednesday, however, absolutely special. Mike's special guest will be Steve Nicholson. Steve is the co-instructor with Mike for the new A+, 220, 1101, and 1102 courses. He's an expert on that product line, on those objectives. He's a really good presenter. He's a really good guy just to talk with. And Mike's going to have him on for the whole hour on his Wednesday show. Come to the Wednesday show, bring your questions about the new A+ objectives. Of course, Mike will do quizzes and contests on both of those shows, and I'll be back again next Freitag. All right, see if any other final questions popped up here. No new questions. All right, so let's wind her up. What time is it? Oh, not bad. Okay, only 3 minutes shy. That's cool. Any reason to vamp? There's always a reason to vamp. I'm just trying to think of anything good to vamp about. Yes, yes. One other vamp. Let's kill a minute here. From the Goodwill auction site. There's a television program that I watched in my youth, a couple of them after school. I get home from school before homework. I got to watch these 2 Japanese productions that were designed for kids. I was a kid. It's okay. Johnny Sacco and his Flying Robot, which is all over the web. I love those. And then there was another series called Ultraman. And Ultraman has, they're still making Ultraman today, but it's really, really challenging, or has been really challenging, to find the original series. But I found it, all of the original series. You know what? I don't have a DVD burner anymore for my system. I've got a portable on my laptop. So I got a DVD player in the living room on the television, but I want these on screen so I can work with them, watch them in the background while I'm doing work. So I've got all the original 60s Ultraman series. I am just happy as a pig in slop. Cannot wait. All right, that's perfect. About a minute and a half to wind it up. Let's wind things up. As ever and always, my thanks to Mike Myers and everybody at Total Seminars and National Cyber Group, who so generously provides us with time and resources so that you and I can get together and do this every Friday. My most heartfelt thanks, of course, goes to you and everyone who comes here to participate. This has been Dave Rush. I'm the senior instructor at Total Seminars and resident Pi specialist, wishing you a great weekend. Take care of each other. Take serious steps to stay healthy. If at all possible, call or visit your parents. And of course, never forget, technology is great, but the greatest resource we have are you and I. And with that, not going to see you on Discord right away. I got some stuff to do right afterward, but I'll be in and out of Discord this evening as I do some other things in here. So I'll see you at Mike's AMAs next week and Drama next Friday. And until that time, I am out of here. Sayonara, everybody.